sure you've fucking seen this already, but spoiler in case you haven't. This movie is about a cult that is using a family to summon a demon. The demon's name is Paimon. There's all these little hidden details in it that foreshadow the events that are going to happen. One of the things that is going on in the movie is that the demon is sort of around throughout the whole movie, as is the cult. This movie has sort of a color-themed code throughout it. The demon, Paimon, is represented by things that are blue, light blue, aqua. The daughter, Charlie, the color that represents her for some reason is orange. The cult is represented by the color red sometimes. And the grandma, who's dead before the movie even starts, she's represented by the color gold. This movie has several info dumps. As a matter of fact, it starts with one. So this movie opens with text telling us that the grandma died. It's mostly information that we're going to get again in like 5 minutes. The rest of the information doesn't mean shit until we get it in another info dump later. So we cut to a shot of a treehouse from inside the mother's workroom. There's a fly on the windowsill, which probably means something, but who the fuck knows, who cares? Ominous music plays, and there's a slow pan past a scary filing cabinet. This is the scariest part of the whole movie. The camera continues to pan across the room. We can see that the room is full of dioramas. The scenes depicted in these dioramas and the order in which we see them in will make sense to you the next time you watch the movie. Right now it's just kind of like, oh, that's neat. There's a slow zoom into a dollhouse, which ends up becoming the house that we're in. So the dad, Steve, wakes up his son, Peter. He asks if Charlie slept in her room last night.
Peter, wake up. Do you know if your sister slept in her room last night?
And how the fuck is the son supposed to know? You just woke him up. He should be asking you. So we see the mom waiting in the car, and the dad climbs up into the treehouse. He wakes up Charlie, and he tells her to get ready. He's mad at her for sleeping out there because it was cold last night.
It was freezing last night. That's how you get pneumonia.
She says, it's okay. And he's just like, oh, okay.
That's okay.
Okay, come on, let's go.
He says, your mother is in the car. Get ready. We're late. Pretty sure they would have told the kids, set a fucking alarm tomorrow. It's your grandma's funeral. But no, we'll just wake them up once we're ready to leave. So cut to the mom speaking at the funeral. And now we're at Info Dump 2. We're about 5 minutes into the movie. She says, it's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today.
You wouldn't say strange. Even if you were thinking it, you wouldn't fucking say it. She says,
My mother was a very secretive and private woman.
These lines already make no fucking sense. Because if her mom was private and secretive, then you would expect to see people at the funeral that you don't know, right? She even says in the very next line, she had private friends.
She had private rituals, private friends.
Yeah, here they are. They're here. This is them. Anyway, the mom continues to talk shit about the grandma, but then I guess she remembers that she's giving a eulogy to her grandma's friends and family. Because then she says,
She could be the sweetest, warmest, most loving person in the world.
As she's saying this, Charlie is just off on her own, looking at her dead grandmother. She sees her grandma is wearing a gold necklace with a symbol on it. The symbol is the symbol for the demon Paimon. They changed it slightly for the movie, but the symbol means Paimon. It's like Prince. And then Charlie sees some guy smiling at her. Cut back to the mom. She's wearing the same necklace that the dead grandmother's wearing. The Paimon necklace. I don't know why the mom has one. I don't think it really comes up again. But she has one. She continues to be ambivalent about her mother in front of all these people. And Charlie is drawing in a notebook. Charlie clicks her tongue.
That was your opinion, and you...
The dad reaches over and closes the notebook as if the drawing was the problem, not the fucking tongue clicking during the eulogy. So then we see the grandmother in her casket, and a woman comes up and dabs something on her lips. We don't find out what it was that she put on there, or why, or who that woman was. It never comes up again. Then it loses all impact because it cuts to Charlie out-weirding this woman who just touched a dead lady's mouth. Because as Charlie's watching this happen, she takes an already opened chocolate bar out of her pocket and she takes a bite. The dad says to Charlie, "There aren't nuts in that."
There aren't nuts in that either.
No.
And then the mom sees her eating it and says to the dad, "Does that have nuts? Because we don't have the EpiPen." So you get it. Charlie has a nut allergy. This is one of those scenes that leaves me with a whole bunch of questions. One, they don't recognize it as a chocolate bar that they got for her because they're asking her if there's nuts in it. If they got it for her, they would know already, right? They should ask, "Does that have nuts in it?" And then when she says no, they should say, "Where the fuck did you get a candy bar?" Secondly, they think she's smart enough to know whether or not it has nuts in it and that they can trust her answer. But they're also considering the possibility that she might be dumb enough to fucking eat it anyway. So back at the house, the family gets home. The dad tells the kids to take their shoes off. This is going to come up later. The mom asks the dad if she should be sadder. He says, "You're fine."
Should I be sadder?
You should be whatever you are.
So he checks on her later while she's working on her miniatures, her dioramas, and he asks her about her art show that's coming up. The dad says, "What's the deadline now? 7 months?" She says 6.5. And he goes, "Ooh, coming up."
So what's our deadline now? 7 months?
6.5.
Ooh, coming up.
It's not that much sooner. So then dad goes and checks on the son, who's plucking guitar strings. And we see a big keyboard in his room. So I guess he's into music, but it never comes up again. The mom checks on the daughter before bed, and the daughter has a drawing of grandma in the casket. The mom says,
You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you.
Charlie says she wanted me to be a boy.
You having a baby brother or baby sister?
Then the mom sees the word satiny written on the wall. She doesn't say anything about it. She doesn't ask about it. She just sees it. Now, she's a character in the movie, and she doesn't give a shit. So why the fuck should I care about it? Now, satiny. If you think there's some big, deep meaning to this, it's not. There isn't. Satiny is a made-up bullshit word, but the point of it in the movie is to tip us off that there's some sort of ritual taking place in this household. Like, it's begun. The mom goes to turn off the light in her workroom. She pauses, and then she walks over to a box labeled Mom's Things. She pulls out a photo book titled Memories. So she looks at like 2 pages of her dead mother's memories, and then she's done. She doesn't give a fuck. On to the next book. She pulls out a book called Notes on Spiritualism. She opens the book, and there's a handwritten note from her mother, and it says, "My darling, dear, beautiful Annie, forgive me for all the things I could not tell you. Please don't hate me, and try not to despair your losses. You will see in the end that they were worth it. Our sacrifice will pale next to the rewards. Love, Mommy." So the mom shakes her head as if the note says something shitty, and then she just puts the book away real fast without ever paging through it any more than that. So even though this book held her attention longer than the book of her dead mother's memories, she's just done with it now. Fuck that book. So just as she's about to leave, she turns off the light and she sees what is definitely her dead mother standing in the shadows in the corner. So then she turns the light back on, and her mom's gone now. She's like, "Mom?" And then she's like, "Oh, look at that diorama. That's not right." She walks over to one of the dioramas and she turns it around. If you saw someone that just died, you would leave the room. You wouldn't go into the room. You probably wouldn't go into the room for a while. Maybe during the day, and even then, you'd be looking in that corner. So she goes and lays in bed with her husband. And she says, "I just scared myself in the workshop." He says, "With what?" She doesn't tell him. And then they kind of chuckle and she just kisses him goodnight. Imagine your significant other coming to bed and saying, I just scared myself in the workshop. And you say, with what? And they just sit there looking disturbed. And then they smile. And then they kiss you on the cheek and they go to bed. Would you be laughing? What's funny right now? So then cut to Charlie, and she's in class. And all the kids are taking a test. But she's not. She's working on one of her little craft toys. Charlie likes to make little crafts, little toys, out of just garbage in compost. Teacher walks up behind her and says, are you done? Charlie says, almost. And the teacher says, maybe we finish the toy after the quiz. What do you think? Charlie says, okay. Then, a bird flies into the window. Outside with Christine, a bird smashes into and shatters the car window. Inside the house, Drew sees a bird smash through the window. A bird smashes through one of the basement windows. What do the birds have to do with anything? They never explain that. When the bird hits the window, it's a big loud thud. Everyone reacts, except Charlie. Instead, Charlie looks at the scissors. So that's not good. So now cut to Peter in class. We hear the teacher say,
what is Heracles' flaw?
And as he says this, we see Peter is looking at a girl's butt. So I guess that's Peter's fatal flaw. So the camera pans up, and the girl's hand is raised. She says arrogance. The teacher says, why? She says,
he literally refuses to look at all the signs that are being literally handed to him the entire play.
So Peter and the other members of the family, maybe even us, who fuck knows, who cares? They aren't seeing the signs that are being handed to them throughout the entire movie, including this, including what's happening right now. So then Peter's phone buzzes pretty loudly.
So he thinks he has control.
And he checks it right away, like he wants to get caught. The message says, want to smoke a bullet break? Fair enough. But the other messages say, workin', want to twirl around later? Sure. Let me just finish waxing my D. Good luck. Send pics. Turns out this message is coming from his friend, who's sitting right fucking next to him. And he gives his friend a thumbs up. So then the teacher finally notices Peter's still looking down at his phone. I guess him and Charlie inherited the gene that makes you forget you're in fucking class right now. So the teacher asks Peter if he cares to weigh in.
Care to weigh in, Peter?
About which part?
The teacher stares at him, pissed. And then for no reason at all, some mystery girl just starts answering the question.
I think it's more tragic because
Maybe her name's Peter, too. The girl in front of Peter turns around and looks at him. She gives him a look. I don't know what the look is supposed to mean. Is she annoyed? Is she attracted to him? It's not like he said something cool or funny. And he just stares at her like a goon. Now, I'm going to get ahead of myself a little bit here. But just so you know now, the girl that Peter is attracted to, possibly the teacher, possibly his friend that texted him, and also possibly, like most of the other characters in this movie, they're all part of the cult. They're all in on it. And it seems like they're really trying to tip off Peter to what's happening, which they never explain why. Like, why would they be talking about what they're doing? They do this a lot. Throughout the movie, all these people that are supposedly part of the cult or part of this ritual, they're constantly doing dumb shit or like tipping off the characters to like, hey, we're summoning a demon right now. You're gonna die. Next scene. The bird that flew into the window earlier is laying dead on a bush. Charlie is standing in front of it, eating a chocolate bar again. Something about standing in front of dead things just makes her crave chocolate. She takes the scissors from class, she cuts off the bird's head, and then she puts the head and the scissors back in her pouch. So she's having a good day. She turns around, takes another bite of chocolate, and she sees some lady. Just some nice looking lady standing across the road, looking at her. The lady kind of waves and the scene ends. When she sees this lady, Charlie's face and the music cues to us that this is like creepy. But it's completely backwards. Because imagine you're just some nice lady on a walk on a nice day, and you see a kid at school cut the head off a dead bird, turn around and look at you, and then take a bite out of a chocolate bar. It'd be fucking terrifying. So cut to a shot of the computer in the mom's workshop. She gets up and walks out of her workroom. She pauses, and then she walks towards some other room. She sees a big triangle drawn on the floor. It's pointing northwest, because northwest is the direction that you summon Paimon from. I don't know how the fuck anyone would pick up on that watching this movie. One, you'd have to know who the fuck Paimon is. You'd have to know that you summon him from the northwest. You'd have to be paying enough attention to the house and the direction of the sun outside to know that that triangle is pointing northwest. So this is the room that her mom was staying in. And clearly, she was doing some ritual in there to summon Paimon. She goes downstairs and she asks Steve if he went in there. He says no. And she says that the door was open. So I guess this is creepy, but they never established that the door is supposed to be closed. That would have been nice, right? If we knew that the door was supposed to be closed, then it would be creepy to see that it's suddenly open. So that cuts to Steve and Annie locking the door to her mom's room. The mom says, sorry, I know this is irrational. The dad says, no problem. They both chuckle and then they kiss each other on the cheek. So it's not a big deal. But there should be more to this conversation, right? Because if it wasn't one of them, then they must be assuming that one of their kids is going to the dead grandmother's room. But they don't bring it up ever. So Peter walks up with a landline phone. Because you know, teenage boys with cell phones tend to answer the house landline. He says, hey Dad, it's the cemetery.
It's the cemetery.
About what?
Let me see.
The mom hears this and isn't nearly as interested as she should be. The dad walks out of earshot and he's like, what? Desecrated? What does that mean? The mom walks back into frame. She's putting a coat on. She says, what was it? And he lies.
Just some billing crap.
When you're watching it, it makes sense, right? You don't want to tell someone that their mother's grave was desecrated. But other than her being weirded out by the door to her mom's room being open, she's been pretty okay. When they got home from the funeral, she asked him, should I feel sadder? And he was like, no. She didn't tell him what she saw in her workroom. And even with the open door thing and asking him to lock it, she even kind of laughs and says, I know it's irrational. And he doesn't tell her later. Is there going to be a point in your relationship where she finds out that you knew that her mother's grave was desecrated and you never told her? Anyway, she says, I'm going to go see a movie. She must do this regularly. I know very few people who could get away with that shit.
I'm gonna go see a movie.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Have fun at the movie. So the mom's pulling up to some building. Inside, we see it's like a grief recovery group. And the guy running it says,
now we've set aside some time for any newcomers that might like to speak.
She raises her hand, and then she says, never mind. He says, no pressure, and then it appears as if he's just staring at her.
No pressure.
So there's an immense amount of pressure. And then we get a massive info dump to explain everything. She says, my mom was old. No shit. You're like 50. She had DID and dementia. And my father died when I was a baby from starvation because he had psychotic depression. My older brother had schizophrenia. And when he was 16, he hanged himself in my mother's bedroom. And of course, the suicide note blamed her, accusing her of putting people inside of him. So then there's a pause, and no one says anything in response to this massive trauma dump they just heard. And a couple of people even seem to look over at the counselor guy. And he looks like he wasn't even fucking listening. So since all these people who talk about grief and trauma and recovery regularly aren't saying anything. She just continues. And then she lived in our house at the end, before hospice. We weren't even talking before that. I mean, we were, and then we weren't, and then we were. She's completely manipulative until my husband finally enforced a no contact rule, which lasted until I got pregnant with my daughter. I didn't let her anywhere near me when I had my first, my son, which is why I gave her my daughter, who she immediately stabbed her hooks into. And then I realized I am to blame. Finally, the counselor guy says something. He says,
What do you think you feel blamed for?
and the mom says, I don't know.
I don't know.
What a fucking waste of time. First of all, why are they telling me all the parts of the movie that I would like to see? Her mom had DID and dementia and was manipulative? How the fuck did that work? The dad, Mr. fucking Rogers, enforced a no contact rule until she had a fucking baby. Then he was okay with the grandma coming back into the picture when they have a fucking baby. Now we're in Peter's room. He gets a text message from his friend, and apparently when his friend asked him if he wanted to go smoke a bowl on break, he gave the thumbs up, but then he texted him back, yeah, sure. And they haven't talked since. His friend says, holy shit, huge party at Aaron's house tomorrow. Bring your dick. Later in this movie, we realize that this party is part of the plan to kill Charlie. A very shitty, convoluted plan that would never work in a million years. Part of that plan was this text message happening right now. It has to be, right? Peter turns to blow smoke out of his window, and we see that there's somebody standing outside of his house watching him. We don't ever find out who this person is or why they're watching him smoke weed in his room at night. Can't they set up cameras if they want to watch this family so bad? So Charlie is in her room doing crafts, and we see some blue light shimmer thing. It moves across her room and out the window. Then it cuts to a picture of Charlie's grandma feeding her when she was a baby. We see it for a few seconds and then it's gone. I guess what we were supposed to see, there are some black specks in the milk that her grandma is feeding her. At different points in the story, different members of the family are being spiked with an herb called Dittany of Crete, because Dittany of Crete helps with possession. So Paimon, who is one of the angels that rebelled against God and is one of the kings of hell, needs help from an elderly, mentally ill woman to possess a baby. So then it cuts from that to the mom cutting tomatoes. The mom's phone buzzes and it's the Archer Gallery in New York. The message says, Hi Annie, don't want to bother you, but we'd love to see where we are progress-wise. Could you possibly send us pics of your work in its current stage? I promise we won't judge. Winky face, Sylvia. Do New York art gallery owners send emails with winky faces? But we see that the mom is stressed by this email. Even though she has been working on this stuff, and she could probably easily send some pictures of it. So then cut to Charlie, and she's carrying the severed bird's head. And we can see in the mud that there's much bigger shoe prints. The music has a drum beating and a weird wailing alarm sound type thing. So the intensity is building, and then it just stops. The music, though, takes forever to fade out.
Do you think I could maybe borrow one of the cars today?
Next scene is fucking torture and boring and fucking stupid. So we see the mom in her workshop. Peter walks in and asks if he can borrow one of the cars tonight. She asks why. Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Oh, just like a school barbecue thing?
Oh, so you're not eating the best?
No, I was still gonna eat her.
She says, no drinking?
No drinking?
We're not even old enough to get drinks if we wanted to.
You gonna take your sister?
So this doesn't make any sense, right? Peter's 16. Charlie is 13. Why the fuck would he ask his sister to go? Fan theory is that because she suspects that Peter is going to be drinking, she makes him bring his sister so that he has to be responsible. just gonna make her go to a party where you think there's drinking and teenage boys. She'll be fine. Anyway, so Peter goes to look for Charlie. Can't find her in the house. Charlie's outside walking like a zombie, fixated on something. She stops. We see her point of view, and she sees an old lady sitting in front of or in a fire. I don't know. The music swells, and then Charlie clicks her tongue, and the music stops. Her mom comes running up and says,
What are you doing? You some kind of idiot. You can't roam around with no shoes and no coat.
and the thing is, if your kid sneaks out in the middle of the night and sleeps in the freezing cold treehouse, or goes outside without shoes or a coat on, at a certain point, it's your fault. You can't call a kid an idiot. You didn't even know she was fucking outside. She brings Charlie in and she says, you're going to this party with your brother. Keep in mind the mom's calling it a party. Peter never called it that. Charlie says, what party? The mom says, some school hangout with other kids. Charlie says, that's okay. She doesn't want to go. She tells Peter that Charlie is going.
She's going with you.
Great.
He's cool with it. This isn't a huge cock block to him at all. Bring your dick and bring your 13-year-old special needs sister. Who's walking around outside without any fucking shoes on? So cut to Peter driving, and Charlie's in the back seat instead of the passenger seat for some reason. There's no conversation happening at all. They're just driving to a party in silence. They drive past a pole, and it has the symbol of Paimon carved onto it. It's just ritualistic graffiti. Even though Peter and Charlie just arrived at the party, there's no dialogue between them. We see a girl chopping an obscene amount of nuts. Jeffrey Dahmer makes an appearance. So then Peter sees Bridget. She's sitting on the couch alone at a party. Peter's big icebreaker is,
Whoa, hi.
Oh, hi.
and then some Chad walks by and says hi to Jeffrey. Peter says, hey, do you smoke at all? I have some really good weed. He does this right in front of Charlie. Peter says the first words that I think he has said to Charlie since he was looking for her in her room earlier. They haven't fucking talked.
Do you want to wait out here for a second?
No.
He says, Charlie, please. It'll just be 2 minutes and then we can hang out. She shakes her head no. He says, oh shit, look.
Oh shit, look. They're giving out chocolate cake.
And I guess she falls for it. Sometimes it seems like the writing was for a character that is younger or maybe more special needs. Other times she seems more mature and self-assured and not able to fall for things like, go get the cake before they run out.
Hurry up, they're gonna run out. Come on, Charlie.
So then it cuts and shows two people watching a beheading video, which is gonna make sense real soon. Bridget says, hey guys, Peter has weed. And the kids both turn around smiling. It's like a little kid's commercial. Cut to Charlie, she's wearing a Dwight Schrute shirt and fucking slamming some cake. Bridget says, that was your sister downstairs? Peter says, yeah, Charlie. His phone vibrates. It's his mom calling, but he ignores it. Bridget says, I actually saw her drawing me last week.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. She made me look retarded.
When the fuck did that happen? They didn't show us that happening. They have fucking classes together? Peter says, yeah, that's Charlie. His phone vibrates again. It's a voicemail from his mom that we never get to hear. What's even the point of having her call? And then we hear Charlie say, Peter?
Peter?
Are you okay?
She says, it's hard to breathe. He says, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
The fuck do you think she means? She says, I think my throat is getting bigger. Which is a weird line. I mean, we all know it's like she can't breathe. She's having an allergy attack. I guess this has to do with Paimon trying to exit her body. And he likes to do so through the mouth. So this could be interpreted as him like leaving her body and being like trapped in her throat. So then it cuts to Peter. He's carrying her outside. She's gasping. Puts her in the back seat again. There's no EpiPen in the car. He didn't bring one. No one gives a fuck. He has a phone. He doesn't call for help. Why? Is he in trouble? How the fuck? She's like dying in the back seat. And he's like, it's okay, Charlie. We're almost to the hospital. He floors it from 60 to 70. She rolls the window down and sticks her head out the window to try to get some air down her closed throat. Peter sees a dead animal in the road and he swerves just enough that the pole on the side of the road that we saw earlier with the graffiti on it, that knocks Charlie's head clean off. But why? Why would they have all this ridiculous, nonsensical shit happen just to decapitate Charlie? The real probable reason is that there's a real story of two drunk guys driving home, and one of them was decapitated by a fucking pole while sticking his head out the window. The other guy didn't find out till the next day when they find his friend's headless body in his car. Clearly, that stuck with Ari Aster. And he was like, that would make for a good event in a horror movie. And a lot of dominoes had to fall in place for it to happen. One of the explanations is that the demon, Paimon, he has seen all the different possible outcomes and knows that this is the correct order of events that'll lead to Charlie getting her head knocked off by a pole. There's no way. There's no fucking way. They knew that he would ask to borrow the car instead of just getting a ride. They knew that he would suck at lying and totally give away that he's going to a party. They knew that Annie would respond that way, that her plan would be, well, I don't want him to drink, so I'll make him bring his little sister. That Charlie, Peter, and Annie would all agree on her going. They knew that Peter would balls up and talk to Bridget based on what? How he completely fucking froze in class when she turned around and looked at him. They knew that his move would be to pull out a bag of weed in front of his little sister. His only way of ditching her would be chocolate cake. They knew that neither of them would spot the massive amount of nuts at this fucking party. They knew that he would drive instead of calling an ambulance. They knew that she'd stick her head out the window instead of just rolling the window down. They knew that she would do this just as they were getting close to the pole so that they could stick a dead animal there, knowing that he would swerve that direction and that she would be sticking her head out that side of the car. And before you say yes, they knew all of that because Paimon must be telling them to do it. He knows what sequence of events will lead to this decapitation. Even if so. What the fuck? So I'm supposed to believe in demons that know a deterministic order of events, and assuming that God exists in this fucking universe with demons and shit, he's just watching this shit play out and not interfering at all. Just watching a demon decapitate a special needs child. So Peter stops the car and he's already like 99% sure of exactly what happened. And he kind of glances in the rear view in the back seat for a second. He says, "You okay?" Knowing that she's not gonna fucking say anything back. She doesn't have a head. Peter gets home, he parks the car, he goes inside. We hear Annie say, "Okay, good, they're home."
Good.
So they're both awake, but neither one of them get up to check on their kids and see how their special needs daughter is doing after going to this party. Peter lays down, we've sped ahead till morning and he's been awake the whole time. Then we start to hear a lot of screaming. Cut to Charlie's head on the side of the road, covered in ants. We see other people driving on this road. Nobody spots the child's face on the side of the road. Cut to Charlie's funeral, and we see her casket being lowered in the ground. Charlie's casket is blue. Blue means Paimon, the demon's color. He's not fucking dead. They're not burying him. Why is the casket blue? A eulogy about Charlie would have been nice, but we don't get that. They just fucking breeze through this whole death scene thing. Cut to the wake deal, whatever the fuck that's called, at their house. So we see Annie is in bed. Steve is letting the last person out of the house. He goes to his bedroom, but Annie isn't there anymore. And we see Zazas written on the wall. Zazas comes from a time that Aleister Crowley spoke to a demon in the desert, which is a name where it's like, oh, spooky name. That must be somebody who knows some occult shit. His real name is Edward Alexander Crowley. He's an English guy who was born to a wealthy family, used his connections to position himself within certain pre-existing organizations, used those positions to further manipulate people and take advantage of them. He created new ways of being initiated to new levels within those organizations that involved sex, like sexual favors. Either he would get to perform them on you or you would have to perform them on him. He was an asshole, fucking con man piece of shit. Zazas is from him, from one of his fucking drug-fueled sex romps in the desert. And then we cut to the best scene in the whole fucking movie, which is Charlie's dad sitting on her bed, flipping through her drawing book. He flips through every page until there's no more pictures, and then he closes the book and he holds it against his chest. This scene is especially impactful because we know that he made her close the book earlier at the funeral. So it probably means even a little bit more to him personally that he stopped her drawing and now it's like what he has left of her. So then there's a fade transition to a close-up of Peter's face. He's in class, remembering what he saw in the rearview mirror in the car that night. He looks forward and he sees Bridget turned around looking at him, but she turns away. He stares at her insanely. It's now because Peter and his 3 friends outside smoking weed underneath the bleachers. Because that's something that people still do. And the dialogue is fucking garbage.
But seriously, you see your statuses, bro?
Oh my god, dude, I know.
So then Peter starts to have a reaction.
My throat is gonna leak.
Which is what Charlie said earlier. So if you believe that the demon is entering and exiting people through their fucking mouths, then it's fair to assume that that's what's happening here too. Because otherwise this scene just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He tells his friend, just hold my hand. And he starts crying like a bitch.
Just hold my hand.
Next scene is Peter arriving at home at night on his bike. Obviously not allowed to borrow the car anymore. His mom is sitting in the car in the driveway in the dark. She watches him go inside the house and she drives away. The next scene is her pulling up at her grief meeting place. Probably a good idea, right? But she starts to pull away. We don't know why. Some lady, just some lady, starts running up to the car waving her arms. The lady says, I recognized you from a few months ago. I'm Joan. She tells Annie like, oh yeah, my son and grandson died.
I really did forget something.
My son died.
Oh.
My grandson drowned.
Oh my God.
And now I'm about to embarrass myself.
Okay.
Gives Annie her phone number just in case Annie needs someone to talk to. And here's the deal. Joan is Annie's mom's friend. Joan is like second in command to this whole fucking cult. Now she's the leader. Now that grandma's dead, Joan took over. Anyway, Annie gets home. She says she went to the movies again. And Steve doesn't ask about it at all.
At the movies.
Okay.
Not even like natural. Like, how was it? Was it good? What movie did you see this time alone? The next scene is them laying in bed, and Steve puts his hand on Annie's shoulder. I don't know if that's his move to initiate intimacy, but whatever's going on, she's not into it, because she'd rather go sleep out in the treehouse. I'm pretty sure it's daylight outside. I know they do this in movies where they record during the day, and then they just color grade it later so that it looks like it's nighttime. And I usually don't care about stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure that those are bird sounds in the background.
Freezing it there.
Well, the heater's up there.
So now we're in Peter's room, and he hears Charlie's click sound. And he sees what he thinks is Charlie in his room. But then it turns out that it's just clothes on a chair. Which surprised me. I've never seen that in a movie before. The next shot is someone sliding a flyer through the door for an open seance. And I feel like the cult, or Pyman, they've just run out of ideas at this point. Next scene is the mom in the workshop. She reaches for some orange paint, and she spills some blue paint without even coming close to touching it. And the reason that this happened is because the paint spilled on the note from Joan that had Joan's number. And I guess if the paint hadn't spilled, that she wouldn't have seen the note that was right next to her. So she goes to visit Joan, and she sees that Joan has a welcome mat that says Joni. It doesn't look like something that you'd wipe your feet on. It's sort of like a hand-stitched little pillow. She's like, my mom used to make mats just like that.
You're welcome, Matt. My mother used to embroider ones just like that.
And I guess this is just a major fuck up on Joan's part. It's pretty important for the plan that Annie doesn't know that Joan knew her mom. And then she leaves this fucking welcome mat right outside her door that was clearly made by Annie's mom. So Joan invites Annie in and they start having tea. Annie finds a little leaf on her lip. Now, going with the idea that it's Dittany of Crete, then we can assume that Joan has spiked Annie's tea. Joan asks,
How is your relationship with your son?
and you would think she's asking this question because maybe the family holds Peter responsible a little bit. Maybe they haven't even addressed it as a family. But that's not what Annie took it to mean, because she just starts telling the horrific story about the time that Charlie and Peter shared a room. And during a bout of sleepwalking, she covered them in paint thinner and then lit a match. The sound of striking the match woke up Peter and Annie. Weird that being covered in paint thinner didn't wake anyone up, but okay. She put out the match immediately, but it was impossible to convince Peter that she was just sleepwalking.
And Peter always held it against me. And there is nothing I can say and nothing I can do.
So this is the first time we get any idea that there's any issue between them at all. He's always seemed pretty easygoing.
Oh, so you're not eating with us?
No, I was still gonna eat here.
Well, you can eat there if you want. I just
No,
didn't
no, no,
realize.
no. I'm gonna eat here.
You gonna take your sister?
Does she want to go?
She's going with you.
Great.
Peter gets home, and he doesn't take his shoes off before walking upstairs. The dad doesn't say anything about it, and instead just asks,
Have you signed up for that SAT prep course?
I don't know what the fuck that dialogue has to do with anything. I guess what we were supposed to pick up on is that there's a bunch of shoe prints by the door. And that's a clue to us that the cult has been coming and going and just leaving fucking shoe prints everywhere. So the mom is in her workshop and the dad wants to tell her that dinner is ready. He sees that she's working on a new diorama and it's the scene of Charlie's death. And he's pissed.
I'm making dinner.
No, I made the dinner. I came to get you. Come, stay, whatever you want. I don't really give a shit.
So then we see them eating dinner, and she's being a fucking brat. Peter's like, it seems like you want to say something. And then she says,
I mean, why would I want to say something so I could watch you sneer at me?
is she the one that's possessed right now? What the fuck is she talking about? The dad keeps trying to get Peter to leave it alone.
Peter.
Say what you want to say then.
Peter.
Instead of Annie, who is the adult, and who he is supposedly mad at like 5 minutes ago. She says all she does is worry about him and slave for him.
All I do is worry and slave and defend you.
But she doesn't do shit for them, ever. She didn't even make fucking dinner. She says, and all I get back is that fucking face on your face. Everything that she describes.
So full of disdain and resentment and always so annoyed.
We haven't seen any of it. Finally, when she's done having her tantrum, she sits down to keep eating. And then Peter says, what about you? Why was Charlie at the party?
What about you, Mom? She didn't want to go to the party. So why was she there?
You're like, oh yeah, why was she at the party? I can't wait to hear the mom's side of this. But no, the dad just says, that's enough.
That's it.
Because the script doesn't have an answer to that question. The mom gets up and storms off. Peter and Steve just sit there. They don't say anything. So then it cuts to her leaving the art supply store. And guess who she runs into in the parking lot? Joan.
Annie!
Hi.
Oh!
Obviously, this is another setup by the cult, but why have the random drive there and pretend like you were also there shopping and just bump into her randomly? Like they have each other's fucking phone numbers now. Joan could just call her. She tells Annie that a medium came over to her apartment and conjured up her grandson. So Joan invites her over, and they're going to do a seance. Joan lights a candle, she puts her hand on a glass, and during this scene, the glass moves by itself. Something moves Annie's hair, And then Joan asks her grandson Louis to write on a chalkboard for her. He writes, "I love you, Grandma." The spelling would suggest that he is 7, but the consistency and legibility of the letters would suggest otherwise. Now that Joan has proved to Annie that this is all real, she gives Annie instructions on how to do it herself. Now she's in the bathroom saying the instructions that Joan gave her. She thinks she's like enabling herself to be able to conjure Charlie, but what she's really doing is some kind of ritual to allow payment into her or into their lives. So after doing that, she goes and wakes up Peter, and she's like, "I'm sorry for everything."
So sorry for everything. Please forgive me.
Are we cool? And he's like, yeah. And she wakes up Steve too. So now Steve and Peter are walking downstairs, and Steve says it's freezing in here. And he goes to close the window.
Wait, no. What are you doing? Wait.
I'm gonna close the window.
No.
And she says, "No, don't. I don't want to change anything."
Can't change anything. I don't want to mess it up.
She says they gotta put their hands on the table, palms down, fingers touching.
We need our palms on the table and our fingers to touch.
And they don't really move. So she's like, "Fine, we'll do it over here then." And she drags the table across the room.
We can do it over here then.
So much for not changing anything. Now Annie starts to do a thing that she's going to do a lot throughout the rest of the movie, which is she's just going to say a whole bunch of things really fast, and you kind of just have to go with it.
I'm a medium, okay? I was seeing apparitions earlier and I just shook them off and I shouldn't have.
Steve says, "Peter, go to bed."
Peter, go to bed.
And he's just 100% on the mom side.
I'll stay.
Again, going against everything we've been told about this supposed relationship that Peter and Annie have. So the mom takes their hands, not doing the palms down, hands touching thing. She does the glass trick.
I'm gonna have us all touch the glass.
Wow! Yes! The candle on the table flames up real big. Like a really bad magic trick. And then the mom makes the funniest sound in the whole movie. And then she starts talking in what I guess is Charlie's voice.
Hello?
Mom?
Why are you scaring me?
Steve turns on the light and throws a glass of water in Annie's face. And that works. The dad doesn't really have a reaction to what just happened, and he doesn't bring it up again. Peter cries like someone who's never cried before. The mom doesn't know what happened.
What the hell? What are you doing?
So whatever trust you just rebuilt with Peter like 5 minutes ago, that's all gone. It's fucking, you're not getting that back. So then we cut to Peter, sitting awake in bed, and then we cut to him sitting in class. Peter is staring at the blue light on the floor, and then he looks at a girl with blue hair. For some reason, maybe he's catching on to the color thing. I don't know. Peter looks at his reflection in a glass cabinet, and it has this weird, creepy smile. He hears Charlie's click sound and he freaks out. None of the other students react really. Back in the mom's workroom, her phone rings, the fucking landline. She answers and the dad says,
Can you guess who just called me from school in complete hysterics?
She says, "Charlie?"
Charlie?
What?
I don't know why she says that. She says, "Nothing. What happened?" And he just lets that shit go.
Nothing. What happened?
Peter just called me, Annie. Terrified.
So then she gets another call. It's a call that should relieve her.
Hi, this is Patrick at the Archer Gallery. If you need us to postpone the show or push the date, it's obviously more than okay.
But instead she flips the fuck out. Dad and Peter walk in and the dad says, "Oh geez, that smell."
Oh, Jesus. Ouch.
Which is the first we've heard of it. He sees all her dioramas smashed. And then he sees in one of the dioramas that there's a decapitated Peter doll. He doesn't say anything about it, which is weird. Or maybe he does, and we just don't know because the scene ends. I don't really know how this movie or any movie gets away with this. Like, Peter hallucinated at school. The mom has destroyed all of her work, and she has a doll of their decapitated son. And they just cut? That's just over now? On to the next scene. We see the dad, and he's going to sleep on the couch. Before he does, he takes some pills. We never find out what the pills are, but I guess that's reason enough to dismiss his non-human behavior and lack of any meaningful action. The mom hears scribbling. She walks into Charlie's room and she sees drawings being scribbled into Charlie's notebook. There's no pen or anything, which makes no sense. It's like not only is the drawing happening, but the sound. They just got to the next scene. So now we're in Peter's room and he hears Charlie's tongue click again. This time, he sees Charlie.
Charlie?
She looks down and her head falls off. And it turns into a very Nerf-looking ball. Then Peter hears a dog growling. And you're like, oh shit, what's that? Is it the demon? Is it some hounds of hell shit? But it's just some dog. And then some hand grabs Peter's head. The music makes it seem like something scary is happening, but it's fucking goofy. It's just two hands holding his chin as he flops around. And then the door slams on the dog's face, and then I remembered it's their dog. I forgot, because we've seen it for like 5 seconds in the whole movie. It's a non-character. In The Conjuring, they have a dog, Sadie, and that dog dies immediately. It's one of the first things that happens in the movie. And I remembered that dog, but I still don't know the fucking name of whatever this family's dog is. We see the dad down on the couch. I don't know what the fuck. What's happening with the lighting? Do they have a giant light outside their house? Suddenly Annie is in Peter's room.
What's happening?
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You were pulling on my head!
Even though there's no fucking way. There's no room between the top of his bed and the wall. But that never comes up. She says, I don't know what's happening, but I'm stopping this. I'm the only one that can fix this.
The only one who could stop it, do you understand? I'm the only one who can fix this.
I don't know, where the fuck did she get that idea? She's the only one that can fix it. Cut to Charlie's notebook on her bed, and it's flipping through page after page of drawings of Peter. So Annie grabs the notebook, and she's gonna throw it in the fire. Instead of, I don't know, maybe reading one page of the book you found called Notes on Spiritualism, where your mom left a note for you talking about your sacrifices. She throws the notebook in the fire, and for some reason, her sleeve catches on fire. Instead of taking her sweater off, she immediately makes the connection between the book and herself. She takes the notebook out of the fire and she puts it out, and the flames on her sweater go out too. I can't think of any reason for any of what we just saw to happen other than to foreshadow something that is going to happen later that also doesn't make sense. So now it's the next morning. Peter gets up for school, because it's the next day. Everything's fine again. The next scene is the mom walking to Jones. Who knows where she parks? We see her tapping on Jones' door. As this is happening, the camera's slowly moving back into Jones' apartment, and we could see the table has a bunch of sticks and garbage on it, and a bunch of animal heads. Not like a wolf's head or a camel's head, or anything that would be difficult to obtain. Just birds and rodents and shit. So apparently sourcing the materials to summon one of the kings of hell is pretty easy. You can just kind of grab whatever's outside. The mom sees Joni's doormat again, and this time she's like, oh my god, my mom used to make doormats just like that.
My mother used to embroider ones just like that.
Did she really? Isn't that funny?
When the mom takes off running, we see a security camera. We don't see who's watching it or what's happening with the footage. It never comes up again. Peter's at school, and he looks up and he sees Jones standing way the fuck across the street. I don't know why she can't get any closer, but I guess they just wanted a reason for her to yell. She yells, I expel you. Zatany.
I expel you! Satany!
She continues to yell out Harry Potter words.
Dagony! A paragon!
No one else is reacting. Cut to the mom. She's rushing into her workshop to go through the boxes of her mom's things. Something you might have wanted to do, yesterday. Any fucking time before right now. She finds a book with the symbol of Paimon on it, which you would think is a major find, right? Like, this is the book. It's the same symbol on her necklace and on the necklace her mom was buried with. But she opens it up and it's in a different language, so she's just like, fuck that book. She picks up another book called Invocations. She thinks, this is the one. Not the one with the fucking symbol on it. She opens it up to a bookmarked page. And this is a sneaky info dump. Because she's not actually going to read any of these very informative books. The books that probably have all the answers. She's just going to open them up to the couple of pages we need to read to know what's going on with the plot. And I know that's what's happening because after we see those couple of pages, she's just like, fuck that book. The sneaky info dump tells us Paimon covets a male body. And the other page says the riches go to the conjurer. She starts going through a photo book and she finds some old pictures of her mom with Joan. There's a picture of people showering her mom with gold coins and a picture of people doing some kind of ritual with a photo of the family. Cut to the dad. He's writing a letter to someone. We don't know who. The letter says he hesitates to say it, but he thinks Annie might be on the brink of or in the midst of a breakdown. Whatever his profession is, psychiatrist, therapist, she's the worst one. Just then, he gets an email from the cemetery saying, oh yeah, here's the photos we took. We took them for insurance claim purposes. The pictures show that the gravesite wasn't just desecrated. It was dug up, and the body is gone. You'd have to call the cops, right? What the fuck? Would they really call you at home and say, like, yeah, her grave's been desecrated? They call the dirt. It's just been desecrated up, and the body desecrated completely out of the cemetery. We took some pictures. You're probably going to want to contact your insurance. Try to get some money back. So, back to Annie. She takes the photo book and she heads over to the attic door thing. I don't remember them ever saying there's anything in the attic or that she has any reason to go up there. When she pulls the attic door open, a whole bunch of flies come out. You would think this would make you instinctively close it immediately. Not because it's scary or anything, but just because there's a shitload of flies getting into your house. But no, she just climbs into the swarm of flies, and she's going into the attic for what? To find more evidence? Without even having really gone through the boxes you already have? But I guess she's right, because she does find a dead body. So what do I know? Cut back to Peter in the classroom. He hears Charlie's click sound, moving all around the room. Puts his hand up in the air like the staff thing from the drawing of Paimon. I'm sure it's pointing northwest because that is a thing for some reason. And I know I said earlier it's because you summoned Paimon from the northwest. That's not even true either. The movie made that up. And he slams his face on the desk twice and then starts screaming. The landline starts ringing. It's the school calling. But Annie is outside in the rain by the treehouse. Sure, there's a reason, but who the fuck knows? Who cares? So Peter's dad gets the call at work. He picks up Peter. Peter's in the back seat. The dad is looking at Peter in the rearview mirror for too long. And when he looks forward, he sees the light is red and he slams on his brakes. This doesn't get any reaction from Peter, who is fucking out. Is he sedated? Is he tranquilized? What kind of drugs did the school nurse give him? The following scenes between Annie and Steve are by far the dumbest of the whole movie. And that's saying something. So they're putting Peter in his bed, and the mom says to the dad, I need you to go in the attic and see what I saw. There's a body.
I think it's my mother, I think, but I can't tell because the skin's all black and she's all distended, but the head is gone.
So this is more of the, she's just gonna keep saying a whole bunch of crazy shit fast, and everyone just has to go with it. Otherwise the movie doesn't get to happen. He walks over to the attic door, all annoyed. She says, and there's more.
You mean more than your mother's headless body? Of course there is.
So he thinks she's having a mental breakdown, and he's just like, oh, I'll humor you in the bitchiest way possible. She starts to run away as he climbs the ladder, and he doesn't say shit. I'd be a little concerned about what the fuck she's doing, but he doesn't say anything. She goes and starts a fire for some reason. We hear him scream like he's getting a prostate exam. He climbs down the ladder as she returns. He says, what the fuck was that? Why didn't you call the police? She says,
Police can't help us.
really? The police can't help you? The police, the only people trained and designated to help you in this exact situation, can't help you. Even if you think it's a cult or a curse or a demon, you still need someone to deal with the fucking rotting corpse in the attic. And then we get another info dump. This time, it's kind of like a recap dump. Like it's information that we already know. But I'm still going to count it because it just feels like the movie trying to explain itself in a shitty info dump way. She says Joan taught her how to do the seance, and she didn't even want to.
She taught me how to do the seance. I didn't even want to.
She says, now look, this is my mother's album. See this? See her? That's her. That's Joan. She didn't even mention knowing my mom, and I've never met her before, but she approached me. Now look at this. See the symbol on the necklace my mom gave me? It's her necklace, right? They're both wearing it, and they're wearing it in every photo. And look at that pattern. Did you see it up there? This was painted above the body, right? In blood. She says a whole bunch of shit she can't possibly know. She says they put a curse on us when we brought Charlie back. We made a pact with something. If we destroy this book, it will take me to. I tried to burn it. I tried, but my arm caught on fire as if I was linked to it because I am linked to it. I understand this now. Steve, if we don't destroy this book, Peter will. Oh God, do you understand? We have to do this. Please, 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 for Peter. He says fucking nothing, and he goes with her. She covers the book in paint thinner and she starts kissing him goodbye. I don't know why she wants to burn this book so bad. In all those books, we didn't see a single fucking page saying burn your dead child's notepad drawing book and that'll break the curse. What the fuck is happening? Like, if you're certain that burning this book will mean burning yourself to death, wouldn't you want to make sure that it's actually going to end the curse? It's not just something that you think. Like, there's a fucking rotting corpse in your attic that is clearly a part of the ritual. Burn that. Steve finally says,
You are sick, Annie. I need to call the police.
She takes the book from Steve. She throws it in the fire. But instead of her catching on fire, Steve catches on fire. And even in this movie with cults and magic and demons and shit, this makes no fucking sense. Like, how is Steve connected to the book? How is she connected to the book? Shouldn't Peter be the one that catches on fire? He was the one being drawn in the book. So all that really happened is when she threw the book in the fire, Pyman just set Steve on fire. That's what happened, because there's no real connection there, right? Which I guess is why they added the little line of text that says that Pyman is the god of mischief. That's not even true. That's something that the movie made up and attached to this character, probably just to make this scene seem like it kind of makes sense, which it doesn't. The light shimmer thing goes over the mom's face, and her demeanor changes from horrified to entranced, meaning she is now possessed by Paimon. Nothing else catches on fire, no smoke alarms go off, the house doesn't fill with smoke, none of that shit matters, and the scene just fucking ends. Peter wakes up later that night. He sits up in bed, and someone outside turns a light on. We see Annie, who is either now possessed or has been bitten by a radioactive spider, crawl across the walls. None of the other characters, like Charlie, could fly around when they were possessed, but for some reason the mom can. Peter starts walking around his dark house. He doesn't try turning any lights on. He stands next to a light switch, and then he just walks around in the dark. As he walks downstairs, we see a piano knocked over. Remember the piano? No? Well, that's because it never fucking mattered before in the whole rest of the movie. But we need it for something we're going to do in a little bit here. I guess his cell phone doesn't exist anymore, because we haven't seen it since it stopped serving as a plot device. He looks around the living room slowly. He finds his dad's charred corpse. Hi, Mom is Spider-Manning in the corner of the ceiling. He looks over his shoulder and he sees some naked guy in the closet. Then there's a thud, and then his mom starts running at him from behind him, and he takes off running. Did he know it was her when he started running? And if so, then why would he start running? Wouldn't he desperately want her in this moment? Hasn't he been looking for her this whole time?
Mom? Mom? Mom?
He somehow outruns the Spider-Man demon that can fly and climb on walls. He trips at the top of the stairs. I was really worried for a second that she was going to catch him because he tripped. But it's okay, because the mom, who can fly, she also trips. He runs up the ladder to the attic, pulls it up, and closes the door and gets away. I don't know why he ran up the ladder to the attic. They haven't established at all that he has any sort of connection to being up there or would view it as a safe space. Would have been nice if they had established, like, there's a gun up there or something, some reason for him to run up to the attic and think that that's the place to go. She's banging her head on the attic door. It's a cool looking shot, but it's also like, oh, I guess after she tripped, she remembered she could fly. The attic is all romantic looking. There's a picture of Peter with his eyes poked out. It just looks like he has big cartoon eyes. He looks up, and he sees his mom flossing her head off with some piano wire. Are there other ways in besides the ladder door thing? How the fuck did she get in there? She starts to go faster. You wonder, what's going to happen when she gets all the way through? Will the body fall limp while the head just floats there? Is the head going to fall off and turn into a ball, just like Charlie's did? But none of that happens, because we get totally blue-balled by a bunch of naked old people. Peter sees these people, and then he yells, and he runs and he jumps out the window. So the naked strangers are what put him over the edge, not the floating mother sawing her own head off. He was doing okay checking that out. But the weirdo naked old people, that's the last straw. So Peter falls in some bushes, and then we hear the mom's head fall off and hit the floor, I guess. But we don't get to see it. So that's lame. Now that her head is off, Paimon can leave her body and go fully possess Peter. We see Peter's soul or something move away from his body, like a shadow moving away. And then we see Paimon gently float down and enter Peter's body. So Peter looks up and he sees his mom's body float into the treehouse. It's very goofy. He stands up and clicks his tongue. So we know he's Paimon now. There's a bunch of old naked people in the woods, I guess. We don't know who they are. So who the fuck cares? He climbs up into the treehouse and everyone is bowing to him. He doesn't look too thrilled to be there, which makes sense, because a little bit ago he was one of the kings of hell with 200 legions of fallen angels, and now he's been demoted to the leader of a nudist colony in Utah. Then the movie ends how it started, with an info dump. Joan says to Peter, Hey, it's all right. You're Pyman, one of the 8 kings of hell. We have looked to the northwest and called you in. We have corrected your first female body and give you now this healthy male host. Tell us the secrets to everything and bind all men to our will as we have bound ours to yours.
Give us your knowledge of all secret things.
And if you're telling him his name and what he is and what's going on, I'm not sure he's going to know the secrets to everything. And that's the end of the movie. The song at the end doesn't fit the vibe of the rest of the movie at all.
And ice cream castles in the air.
A lot of people like this movie because of all the little details and the research that must have went into it, and they think that legitimizes the whole thing. But I don't think it does. Like, if you're gonna fictionalize a lot of the research that you do or the details that you put into it, then what the fuck does it matter if any of it is based on reality? Like, a lot of the words used in the movie that we talked about, they're just sort of vaguely related to rituals and witchcraft. And the symbol, they changed the symbol. I don't know who makes up the symbols or how they come up with the designs that they did, but I'm pretty sure you can't change the fucking symbol. I would think that that's like taking a letter out of someone's name and that it wouldn't work. Like if you were trying to summon Stan and everyone's like, who's Stan? And you go, well, his name is Satan, but it makes more sense with what we're doing if we get rid of the first A. But it's Satan. You know we're talking about Satan, right? Even though we're writing Stan on everything. Strongly recommend you go watch Ugo Strange's review of Hereditary. It's the only other review I've seen criticizing this film. Now, his review is probably what mine should have been. It's like 20 minutes, and it's funny, and it covers things that I didn't even cover in this whole fucking long review that I've done. So please, if you make it this far in my video, go check out Ugo Strange's review of Hereditary, and subscribe to his channel, and support him, and comment, and like, and all those things, and hopefully we can bring him back.
Yeah, Hereditary for me is the perfect example, and this goes into one of your questions of whether or not I would recommend the movie. Hereditary is the perfect example of what I would say is a technical narrative, like it's a technical masterpiece, but a narrative nightmare. If that makes any sense. Like the movie on a technical level is flawless. The cinematography is great. The sound design is amazing. The acting is great. Everything on a technical level is fantastic. But the story sucks so much that I can appreciate this over here, but that's not what a good movie makes. You know what I'm saying? So if
I'm talking about that at the end of my review because I've heard people say that about other directors like Zack Snyder. He's a great visual director, but he should not be writing his own scripts.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening with Ari Aster because his follow-up movies have been on like a steady decline as far as their quality, or at least as far as the reviews go. Like they're getting worse and worse. And they're still visually great movies, but I think other people are starting to see like these scripts aren't that tight, and a lot of this stuff doesn't make that much sense.
Again, he's a psychiatrist, so he should be like Mr. Feelings, Mr. like come talk to me, Mr. like, you know, let's talk, let's do something or whatever. And he's not. I found out he was a psychiatrist like through the synopsis of the film.
Yeah.
And it's like, have you ever seen Antichrist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect example of that, where he starts to where he's still with his wife, but he's so mentally distant from her that it's not his wife anymore. And she only becomes his wife when she starts going insane. And it's like when he has to switch gears. So it's like, I would have liked to have seen him treat the family like patients. And like, that's his way of like coping with the situation, of distancing himself from it. Because Peter has his marijuana. And it's like, if he would have leaned heavy into that after Charlie died, where it's like every scene you see him and he's like smoking, and it's like he's looking more and more messed up, because that's the corrosive nature of mental illness, seeing something that was once pristine on the decline. So it's like, now you have a father who's not a father anymore. He's a doctor. You have a mom who's not a mom anymore. She's a patient. You have a son that's slipping into, more and more, what's the word? Who's anesthetizing the pain. So now you have all three of these people who are dealing with trauma in the most unhealthy way possible, rather than sitting down and like discussing it. And then you add the occult element on top of that, where now it's like, now we're literally dealing with not just metaphorical demons, but literal demons. And they're trying to get your son. Well, now you have a mother who's like, not overprotective, but just frantic on like, what the hell's going on? How do I protect my children from whatever bad thing happened out there? You have a husband who thinks the mom is being paranoid, who thinks the mom is insane, and it's like, no, look, what happened to Charlie was just an unfortunate accident. It wasn't it wasn't an outlier to some bigger conspiracy. You're losing your mind. And you have a son who's just completely oblivious to the whole thing. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. That sounds like a much more interesting movie than where, hey, my daughter just died, I'm going to the movies. Okay. Rather than Annie talking about her trauma with, I don't know, her husband, she lies to him and goes to a support group. Why does she lie about it? The film gives us no reason behind this.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go see a movie.
Okay.
At the movies.
Okay.
I don't know why she's lying to him, because when she is talking at the group meeting, the first one, she tells them, I used to come to these a few years ago and they helped. Why is she keeping it secret from him now? Wouldn't he support it? The idea?
Exactly. There's no humanity in any of these characters for me to like latch onto and say like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. No, it's like there's nothing there that suggests that she has to hide this from him.
No, and even when she asks him to lock the door to her mom's room.
Sorry, I know it's irrational.
No problem.
Thank you.
And he doesn't care at all. He's totally okay with meeting all of her ways of coping and dealing with her mom's death. So it's not like he tells her, you're fucking crazy. Like,
yeah,
who cares if your mom's door is open and we're not going to lock it and that's weird. She has no reason to hide anything from him.
Yeah,
and so establish a reason. Like, it's just, it would have been interesting. It would have been so much more interesting if he wasn't so constantly understanding and passive and supportive.
If it's all just inevitable, then that means that the characters had no hope. They never had hope because they're all just like hopeless. They're all like pawns in this horrible, hopeless machine.
Clear evidence comes in this hidden reveal of her second name, Malpi, which is Latin for siren, the mythical creatures that guise themselves as beautiful women and lord sailors in with their hypnotic song.
The whole idea that she's even part of it comes from the deep dive thing where they notice that her last name is the name of a siren from some Greek myth or whatever. So they think her whole part in the cult, or at least it's being implied, that she's supposed to lure him to his death, or be the reason that he is bringing Charlie to her death. But she doesn't try very hard. She doesn't there's no active seduction happening. She sits on the couch and he has to approach her. He has to ask her to go in the other room. He has to be the one that says, like, I'm gonna leave Charlie here. She doesn't tell him, like, oh, leave your sister. She doesn't do anything. So even the idea that she's a part of a cult, or part of the cult, or part of the plan does raise more questions.
Okay, I sleepwalk. I mean, I haven't done it in years, but...
Why am I getting so much exposition without getting any sort of payoff to any of that? And the one time we do is when Annie says, I used to sleepwalk. And then in the very next scene, she's sleepwalking. She has never sleptwalked at all during the movie, but once she mentions it in the script, then it happens. And it never happens again. Why? And again, I think Ari Aster was thinking, he was just thinking he was a little too clever for it, because if that's such a thing for that character, then have that be something that we see consistently through the movie, so that the next time we see it, it actually has meaning. So when she's sleepwalking and she douses Peter in gasoline, and then we find out it's a dream, or maybe it wasn't. Either way, the point of the matter is, we find out it's a dream and she really didn't sleepwalk, and she really didn't have that conversation with Peter. But why mention it and then do it? It'd be like if you're watching a movie and then the character says, oh yeah, I'm a huge chain smoker. And he's never lit a cigarette through the entire movie. But after that one scene where he says, I'm a chain smoker, all of a sudden, every scene afterwards, he has a cigarette in his mouth. Where did this come from? You know?
Yeah, and there's a ton they could have done with it. He had so many good ideas that they didn't use or they didn't flesh out.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. I mean, it would make sense. She tells Joan that not only did she douse Peter in paint thinner, but she doused Charlie in paint thinner too. She said that they shared a room. And it's like, make that the reason that Charlie sleeps in the treehouse. Like, establish that she's afraid of her mom or something.
Yeah, something like that would have gone a long way to establishing the connection of this film from being about trauma, about fighting personal demons and then making it a literal demon, than just what we got, which I think was a collection of good ideas handled very poorly.
I'm a medium, okay? I was seeing apparitions earlier and I just shook them off, and I shouldn't have.
One of the most hilarious things is when Annie, Toni Collette's character, she's like, I'm a medium now. I can summon, Charlie or whatever. And it's like, did you take a course online, or you read a couple like magic words and now all of a sudden you're a medium? When the character Joan was telling them that she went to a person, somebody who taught her how to do this. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed like that was
conclusion fast.
Yeah, that was way too quick. And now all of a sudden she like has full confidence that she can do this and all of that. And it's like, it would have been better if Joan had come in and done it. That would have utilized that character a little bit more. That would have like showed her like, you're welcoming the cult into your house now. And when stuff goes wrong, it's like, you can kind of, it would have created a little bit more conflict in that scenario. So like, I feel like that was goofy.
It wouldn't have been hard to have Joan go to their house.
Exactly.
She could have just asked Joan to come do the same thing at their house so that she could contact Charlie.
Yeah, and I feel like that would have been much better than Toni Collette just suddenly saying, I'm a medium now, guys. Let's summon Charlie.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, come on, I don't watch that shit.
Why not? Too scared?
No, it's just, what's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
He doesn't leave the house, he runs upstairs, and then he runs up into the attic. Which is like, you didn't run into your room and close the door and lock it, or you didn't go get your phone, you didn't do anything like that, you ran into the attic? When have you been up there? They never show anything like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like a place that he keeps things or a place he likes to go. It's
Yeah.
all just, this is happening now so that we can have him jump out the window. And in Scream, they make fun of a lot of stuff, like horror movie tropes, like running up the stairs. And that's what Peter does at the end of this movie. And I had that like fresh in my head as I'm watching this. So I'm like, I can't believe he's running up the stairs. But then he trips when he gets to the top of the stairs. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is supposed to be such a different horror movie, and they're doing the same thing as every other horror movie. But then Annie trips at the top of the stairs too. I don't know if you remember that, but when she's chasing him in the attic, she trips. And it's like, what? She was just flying around the house. How is she tripping? I don't get it. And the idea of like flying up the stairs behind him would have been a cool visual. It would have scared him a lot more than running. But yeah, if you watch it again, which I don't blame you if you don't, but she trips. And I don't understand it at all. A few seconds later, she's on the ceiling, banging her head on the door.
That's
tripping.
That's awesome.
Mom, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Rather than just like a subtle change in expression, and all of a sudden, like, now all of a sudden Peter has some character in his face. Now all of a sudden, like, he straightens up his back. Now all of a sudden he's like, you know, he's talking very different than how he did before. Kind of like when Peter was looking in the window and he saw that other Peter looking back at him with the smirk on his face, and it's like, that's what I wanted to see. That guy. Where's that guy?
Yeah.
That's Pyman right there. That was him. But we don't get to see that character. Even when Pyman has one at the end of the movie, he's walking around with this glazed expression on his face like he has no clue what's going on. And it would have been better if he came in and he would have been like, yeah, okay. Like he's aware of what's happening now. Like he's in control. Like, no, it ain't Charlie. It ain't Peter. This is Pyman now. And like, I'm here now. And they would have been like, hail Pyman. And he would have been like, you know, something like that. Where
So
it's like,
confusing. Because he walks in there and it seems like he doesn't know what's going on. And Joan tells him,
yeah.
We've summoned you. And he has no clue what's going on. And it's like, what? How does he not know? Hasn't he been around this whole time?
Bring us honor, wealth, and good familiars.
And the demon is for wealth and good familiars. So they want to get rich, and they want to have entities that they can control that will pretty much do their bidding for them, if you're unfamiliar with the term familiars and all that. So basically, the whole cult was a get-rich-quick scheme at the end of the day. It's what it is. All right, so if the Grahams survived this, then you just screwed up a lot of elderly people's occult retirement plan. Great. You didn't stop the apocalypse. You didn't, like, you know, save the world or save the community or save, like, even themselves, really. You stopped a retirement plan. Yay? Question mark?
And the thing about the cult, too, is it's I wish they would have shown more about the cult's history and more of the things that they have succeeded with, because otherwise you have to believe that this cult has been totally devoted to this idea for like 13 years, and even longer than that if you think it started with Annie's brother, the original Charlie.
Yeah.
So if we go back that far, now the cult has been in this for like 30 years or some shit.
Yeah,
just
so it's like,
hoping it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
Like, really?
So, yeah. So you like, what was your success rate back in the past? Like, why did that fail? And I would like a little reasoning why, because there's no reason it should have. Again, if you can plan all of this other stuff to happen, there's no reason why you failed in the past.
And so it's not even a get rich quick scheme. It's like get rich when you're in your 60s.
You are sick, Annie. I need to call the police.
You know what bothers me about this movie too is anytime a character becomes interesting, they kill them. Like, up until Charlie dies, she's kind of the most interesting character. Just because she's so offbeat and you're like, what's going on with her? You don't know. And then they kill her and you're left with Peter and Annie, who are sort of non-characters. Steve gets an email from the cemetery. And it's like photos of the gravesite all dug up and desecrated. Only then does he accuse her of doing it. Like, he finds the body in the attic and he goes, that's why you've been going to the movies. He thinks she's the one that dug up her mother's body, which is interesting. And that's an interesting idea, to have him suspect his wife of being the one doing something. And you're like, that's something I could have done. But instead they just kill him right after that. Like 2 minutes after he comes to that conclusion, they set him on fire and he's gone. And then when Annie starts freaking out and flying around, then she's going to die. You know, she's dead in like 5 minutes. They could have had that stuff happening throughout the movie longer. We don't get any of that. Anytime somebody becomes really interesting as far as what they're thinking or what they're capable of, they just get killed off. And
that was towards the end of the movie, where there was really no movie left, where they kind of had to put a bow on everything instead of like build up with these characters. But it's like, if you could have had Steve grill Annie every time she says, oh, I'm going to the movies. Oh, what'd you see? Oh, yeah, was it any good? How was it? And then the next time she does it, oh, yeah, you know, which theater did you go to? Uh-huh.
Mention.
Yeah, you were only gone for like 30 minutes, so it must have been a short film, you know? Dude, I really appreciate you, man. Like, can't wait to see the rest of your review. I love your delivery. I love how you're going about it. Like, it's funny where it needs to be funny. It's insightful where it needs to be insightful. Like, keep it up, man. I really want to see what you do with this.
I know. I hope you're coming back too, because I definitely need some more content like yours that I watch and appreciate. But yeah, your new way of doing it, I really like the character and the delivery and everything. So
Appreciate it, man.
I'm hoping to see more of that. Do you know if you're going to do anything else like that?
I've been thinking of re-reviewing Sleuth, because that's a movie I thought long and hard about, and I really, really like it. So, like, I'm going to go back to, like, I'm going to review that one. I know that, and just, like, give a few more coherent thoughts on that one. But anyway, I do got to go. All
right, man.
Yeah. Keep it up, bro. Really appreciate you, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
Deuces.
If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and comment. This is Fitzy_2K on X. Message me for any voice work details. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Check out HappyTheKnife.com for all your merch needs.